At BlizzCon 2016, you got to hear about some of the first details for the Necromancer in Diablo 3, and now here at GDC 2017, we actually got to play it a little bit more, and it felt pretty expansive. We got a lot more details about how the class is actually going to play this time.
Yeah, it was at least this time around, your 6 skills, most of them were ruined, unlike last time. As well as we got to see a different flavor of a Necromancer, whereas the one we saw at BlizzCon was more of like the commander, your traditional, you had your army of skeletons and whatnot. This build this time around at GDC was more focused on a melee mancer, which one of the new abilities that we were showing off was the Grim Scythe, which kind of reminded me of Sweep from the Crusaders. Just this huge scythe that kind of goes like almost 180 degrees in front of you, a huge arcing swing. That one didn't have a ruin on it, but that was just to restore your essence, essentially, which is like your mana pool for the Necro.
For me, the big new power was Blood Nova. That's the thing that was so much more comparable to the bringing the army of the dead that we saw from the ranged class. The Blood Nova lets you shoot out literal pools of blood, like Stanley Kubrick-style waves of blood washing over you and killing your enemies. It's a really effective close-range attack.
Yeah, it was like a very big, wide AoE around you, almost like a force push from the wizard, if you can imagine that, but you can see it here, just waves of blood doing big AoE damage. It also takes from your health, which is kind of like the essence of like a Necro, like kind of trying to build upon that is what Blizzard kind of talked to us about, was, kind of what it was like to use that blood power, essentially, and that's kind of what this build was around. And one of the new things, too, is the Golem that you normally see. We got the blood rune this time, so we had the blood golem. He's pretty cool. He's kind of this hulking mass of meat and flesh that's crazy looking, essentially.
So you're able to summon him in different areas, and when you resummon him, he's actually leeching the life power from the enemies around him to reform his body.
Yeah, so not only does he shoot out these tentacles that do damage to all the nearby enemies that you teleport him to, but he's also regenerating your health, which is part of like this kind of like blood melee mancer build that we got to see. So your blood nova would take your life away. You could use your blood golem to then get your life back. But on top of that, there was also the ability called devour. Now devour, with the rune that we had, would take all the like life essence from all the bodies that you had killed or enemies that you had killed, and that would also help restore your health.
Yeah, I felt like this build gave us a much better look at both what separates that class from the Witch Doctor and also that core conceit of being a Necromancer, of using this power of the dead and the power of blood and bone, and getting a real gameplay sense for how that works out. So when we played this build at BlizzCon, I think you were a little bit less impressed with Necromancer. How do you feel about it now, getting to play the melee version of this class?
It was a lot more fun this time around. Just having the runes and the active abilities is like the core of Diablo 3, right? Like it's what makes it fun. So this time around, it was a lot more fun. It was a more full-fledged experience with the Necro, in my opinion. And the abilities are really cool. Just interested to see all the legendaries and armors and weapons that kind of enhance these builds and make them crazier.
So talking with the devs about this expansion, it sounds like it's going to be more than just a character. There's going to be an expansion. There's going to be some more story. There's going to be some additional aspect to this, whether that means it's actually full new story or whether it's a different way for the Necromancer to interact with the events of Diablo 3. Isn't unclear, but what do you think we're going to get out of this Necromancer expansion?
Really tough to say. We know definitely we're going to get a character. We're going to get some new legendaries, new weapon type, new offhand type. But other than that, it's hard to say. I really wish they would commit to just saying like, hey, yeah, you're going to get a new story experience. You're going to get like a whole new maybe act, to kind of supplement that, because this is an expansion. Like when we got the Crusader, we got a whole new act, right? We got a whole new area to play with, not just one map or tile set. So really hoping that we can get that, but they haven't really spoke about it, which kind of makes me worried.
So we don't have a final release date on when this expansion is going to be out in the wild, but we do know this is going to be coming to PTR really soon, so you're going to be able to try out this version of the Necromancer yourself. And for even more content around Diablo 3 and this Necromancer update, be sure to stay tuned to GameSpot.com, like and subscribe the video, and tell us what you think about the Necromancer class itself in the comments below.